we're going to read this week also Shirat Hayam, right? Az Yeshim Moshe Uvenei Israel, right? Yofi. So, I have an uncle who is a little weird. He's a big poet. And he thinks that poetry is on a same, if not higher level than prayer. Almost like prophecy. And I see his point. I see his point. If you take the numerical value of Shira, poetry, what do you get? 515. How do you spell tefillah?
Tough.
Pei, Lamed, Yud, yeah, tefillah. Ektiv chasir, but it doesn't come to 515 if you add a Yud. If you add a Yud to tefillah, it's 525. If you take the Yud out, you take tafla, tafel. Regular poetry is tafel, shtuyot, a nonsense. However, what Miriam did was not just a poetry. What Miriam did was prayer on the highest level, because it was directed to Hashem. Just poetry, it's very nice. I see two lights coming down the highway. Is it a train or is it a car? Is it two bikes or is it, And who am I for myself if it wasn't me, if it wasn't I, if it wasn't me, if it wasn't I, why? Right? Poetry. Poetry is nonsense. I hope you're watching me, uncle. Poetry is nothing. Tafel. However, when you direct it to the Yud Hey, when you direct it to Hashem, that becomes already a tefillah. That's why the Chachamim, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, Rabbi Shlomo Ibn Gabirol, their poetry was what we call tefillah. So you can take anything, and for itself is nothing. When you direct it towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it becomes something. And that's something for us to remember. Now, how should a person be? A person should be like what? Like water. It should flow like water. Why? You put the water in the cup, what happens? It becomes the cup. You put the water in the teacup, in the teapot, it becomes the teapot. Yes. Baruch Leibowitz, aka Bruce Lee, said that. Actually, he didn't say that, some other people said it. And that's the level of emunah. We started talking about it a little bit yesterday. The level of emunah has to be 100% towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You are formless. Only when you would be able to take yourself out and to see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu interacts in the world. Only then, when you take your selfishness out, you'll be able to see it. Why? Because it's like a finger pointed out to the moon. What did he say after that? Don't concentrate on the finger, or you miss all this heavenly glory. When you concentrate on your finger, you miss everything out. But the finger is pointed out to the moon. That's exactly what it is. Now, and that's the times that's how we should operate. We always try to outsmart everybody, outdo everybody. We have this weakness of wanting to be liked by everybody. And I told you that before. You better do what? Do a lot of things. You better live your life where everybody doesn't like you, but you always yourself. than to live life according to everybody, trying to please everybody, and never be yourself. Don't worry about people. Worry about how you stand in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's the level of emunah. Whatever happens, happens. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you, get into the ocean. Get into the ocean. And that's, by the way, how it reflects to emunat chachamim. If you're chacham, the rabbi tells you do that, you do it. Why? Yeh mora rabbecha alecha kemora shamayim. If you don't hear what your rabbi, your mentor tells you, why should you listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Because you want to all about yourself. That's why in our society, when it's directed only about the self, God has very little room in us. And that's the emunah pshuta. Salvation, Yeshua, comes when we are willing to interact in the world in such a manner. And whatever happens to us, that's how you develop the emunah. That's why I tried to explain to you yesterday. And that's called emunah betoch hadat. I have intellect. However, I have my intellect is engined and fueled by emunah. My intellect does not restrict my emunah. I have knowledge, I have an intellect, but above it I have emunah. Most people believe in God until they reach there something, well, it doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not doing it. And this is a tremendous change that a person could occur to himself if he will be willing to understand and do that. One of the things is, when you have bad things, is to pray. To pray. And we know that tefillah helps. Prayer, tefillah, when it's directed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when you put this little yud in the middle, that makes the difference between tefillah and tafel. Tafel means tasteless, pointless. Tefillah is a prayer. Tefillah is a form of a fighting, of war. That's why a person should pray. Because you know that if you have an obstacle or you have something, you need to be able to fight. I need to be able to fight. I need to be able to defend myself. Amelamed etzbaotai lakrav. Right? David HaMelech knew Kung Fu. Melamed etzbaotai lakrav. Teaches my fingers to fight. However, David HaMelech also knew how to pray. Because regardless of how good you are fighting, you need to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because your win is dependent on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not on your Kung Fu skills. A person needs to understand that he needs to do what we call Retzon Hashem. And Retzon Hashem is this concept that I want to put in your head. It's called Emunah Me'al Da'at. Belief above intellect. Again, to enter the ocean, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us to enter the ocean. And it is not like the concept of Christianity. It's all about faith. It's all about faith. This is not what Christianity says. The Christianity says believe because that's what it is. We say emunah me'al da'at. Only when you know Hashem you can believe in Hashem. When you are willing to see what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing to you. When you're willing to understand that whatever happens, happens for the best. That's an elevation. When you're doing so, you're able to elevate yourself from your small mochin de katnut, this like small-minded state of mind that we are at. Elevate yourself above that. Elevate yourself from all your thoughts and all your crooked opinions and all your human manipulations that we all do. And that is doing Retzon Hashem. Uvnei Yisrael alchu bayabasha betoch hayam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell them, go into the ocean. They went into the ocean. HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened to them. They went into the sea. And as we said, Parashat Beshalach is the parasha that deals with the Geulah. However, is also the parasha that deals with the reality after the Geulah. Not that you are free, what are you going to do? And I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. What you're going to do is something very simple. Arav Yosef Dov Soloveitchik said one time that the concept of Geulah, of redemption, in order to be a man or a nation with a voice in human history, one of the things is their ability to pray. And he says, "B'sha'ah she'am notesh olam ilem uba le'olam shel kol," when a nation, at a time when a nation leaves a silent world and comes to a world of voice, hu niya le'am nigal, becomes a free nation. Am ben chorim. Chaim ilmim zehim l'shi'abud. It is mind-boggling. He says like this: a free nation is a nation that voices its opinion. Silent life is silent of slavery. It is your obligation to speak up. If you live in, you want an example, it's not a problem. Okay? Go to North Korea. You can't say anything there. That's slavery. That's slavery. Free is I can say whatever I want. And I can voice things when it's wrong. And I'm not afraid to say that I'm very unhappy with this politician and this head of state and this minister and that. I'm very unhappy. That's freedom. When I say, arguments saying, I am not happy with the governor, or I'm not happy with the president doesn't take me, put me to jail because it is my right, because I'm a free person living in a free world. And freedom comes with your ability to say something. If a person tries to silence you, you know he's oppressing you. You should speak up. And he says, Chaim shechonenu bedibur chayei cheirutem. Life that was granted with speech, with the ability to speak, is free life. And many people refer to Am Yisrael as Am Kshe Oref, the people from the Midbar. They were very difficult people. They were complaining, and they tried Kadosh Baruch Hu, and Moshe did the 10 different tests for it. They tested him 10 different times in the desert, and so on and so forth, and on and on and on. However, one needs to be able to say, that's okay. This is a form of their slavery, of their freedom. After being silent slaves, right? The first thing that initiated, and that's why the first thing that initiated the freedom was Vayitzaku el Hashem, and they yelled to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, okay. But why did they yell? They Tzaku el Hashem, they yelled, Avodah Kasha, Chomer v'Levenim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I don't care why you yelling me, what you calling me about. I don't care, it's okay. You calling me, you said enough is enough. That is a first initiation of freedom. I'm going to help you now. Because until the point that you yelled at me, or you yelled to me to help you, you were incapable of being helped. Now that you yelled, now that I'm going to help you. And our ability and our right to protest injustice, wrongdoing, is an expression of freedom. Silence, when you see wrongdoing or injustice, or giving up your willingness and ability to protest, there is in such a behavior an absolute betrayal in what we call Jewish ethics at the most basic level. That's why the Jews were the only for generations, the only one to always speak, to talk about social justice. They're always in the front part of against racism and so on and so forth. When Jews are quiet, it's a bad sign. When Jews are voicing their concern, it's a good sign. People don't appreciate that. But the Jews always cried. Yes, there are times that we're crying and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, this is a cry, but you need to go because I told you. That's a matter of emunah. But for injustice and so on and so forth, you have to speak up your mind. To follow blindly is wrong. The only one you should follow blindly is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And even HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be willing to forgive you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not punish us when we cry where there is water. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not punish us when we cried, we can't take this anymore, help us out. So therefore, if you want to change the world, pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But pray from the bottom of your heart, from this emptiness in your place, that selfishness does not occur in this place in your heart that is uncontaminated with selfishness. Pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, find this place within you, and then you will fulfilling what the Pasuk says, Mima'amakim kera'aticha Hashem. From the depths I called you Hashem. Not from the depths of the ocean, not from the belly of the beast. From the depth of my heart I called you, from this uncorrupted place. So Rabotai, of course you have to, when you see things, when you say things, you should say it politely. You should not be rude when you say things. Divrei chachamim benachat nishmaim. Say it nicely. Say no offense meant. However, I think you're wrong. Say it nicely, but say. Speak up. If you remember, all the time I tell you, write your congressman, write your president, write things. You need to get used to do that. Don't take things sitting down. Yes, fighting, writing, speaking, praying is all the same thing. It's all a matter of freedom. Prisoners don't fight. Slaves don't fight. Slaves don't pray. And if you want to know, let's see the halachot of prisoners in jail. Are they allowed to pray or they're not allowed to pray because they are captive? Slaves don't pray. Free men do. Free men fight. So be free and pray. Shabbat Shalom.